How are you guys doing? I'm just getting our live stream up and running. Happy Monday. Hello, hello. We do have Zach Engler who is going to be leading today's training, so he'll be joining us shortly. I'm very excited. This will be the first training that he's led with us, and he always does when he shares in our other classes. If you've had the pleasure of being in a class with him, he always has really valuable shares. So I'm super excited to hear what comes through in today's training for us. Does anybody, okay, good. Tina said she couldn't hear me and I was worried for a second that none of you could. Before we start diving into today's class, does anybody have any questions or anything that I can help you with? Any questions about the Chief AI Officer community or the certification program? I'd be more than happy to answer those questions for you. Everybody good? Okay. My live streaming is not wanting to work. Hello, Steve. Okay, so before we dive in, I just posted this about 30 minutes ago inside of the community, but I'm dropping a link in the chat. There's a survey. We're in the process of looking at the types of classes that we host inside of Chief AI Officer and also the times and the days that we host them. So if you could take a moment, even while we're on this call, it's 4 questions. It's super short. And give us your feedback about what time of day you prefer to attend these classes and also what topics interest you most. That would be super helpful for us because we want to create our content and craft it around what you guys need. So any feedback that you give, and then Tina Cook, I know you're here on the call with us today, so this is the perfect place for you to voice the time zone issue with when our class times are, so that we can adjust and accommodate accordingly. So I just dropped that link in the chat. Hello, Zach. Happy to see you here. I'm just kicking things off, so you're right on time. Let me go ahead and share my screen and we will get started with our class today. So my name is Megan Monique. I am the community coordinator here at Chief AI Officer. So if you have any questions, you can find me in Circle. You can send me a direct message. And also, if you happen to reach out to our support desk, I am the person on the other side of that as well. I can help you with any login issues that you might have. And you'll also see my face throughout the classes that we have every day of the week here at Chief AI Officer. So I'm here for you if you need me. In the chat, I'll drop it one more time for those of you who just joined us. But this is a link to a survey that we're hosting right now. So we're looking at our class schedule, the topics that we host, the times that they're taking place. There's only 4 questions in this survey. So if you could just take a moment to fill it out, that would be super helpful. It'll make sure that what we're teaching and when we're teaching it is most beneficial to you and in your schedule and your interest here in the community. So let me see. I am on the wrong screen. 1 second. Here we go. Okay, so Zach Engler, who is here, is going to be leading today's class, and he's going to be going through the smart cut about building websites in a snap with bolt.new. And then in the second half of his presentation, he's going to lead you through a demonstration that goes far beyond this smart cut. So I'm going to share this link with you in the chat here shortly. But if at the beginning of his demonstration, you're curious what the slides are that he's looking at, it is this smart cut right here, and you can download it for yourself. And then the other thing that I want to talk about is tomorrow we have a challenge coming up. So if you haven't been watching our challenges, or even if you have, I highly recommend hopping into this one. It's going to be about 2.5 hours tomorrow. It's just going to take place over one day. It starts at 12 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. So go ahead and register and join. Adam Lyons is going to be leading the class. And from what I've heard every single challenge, he has some new hot take that he's bringing. So even if you've attended the challenge before, this one is going to be different. It's going to provide new information. He also has a very different style than Chris Daigle. So you can just catch different vibes for what this presentation brings. And you have an opportunity to ask questions there as well. So I will drop this in the chat now. So if you want to register, you can. And if you are an affiliate with us, go ahead and promote this. I believe that this challenge will also take place next week at the same time. So if in your promotions you want to share that, you're more than welcome to. Do we have any questions about the challenge before I move on to the next thing? Everybody good? You guys are starting off this Monday really quiet. It's okay, just saying. Lastly, we have a podcast. So I don't know if you have listened to our podcast before, but if you want to stay up to date in the world of AI news, Chris always has very talented guests that come on. This week it was Jake George, and he was talking about multi-agent systems. So check that out if you have a chance. And there's a new episode that drops every Sunday. So Karen says the podcast is excellent. I'm glad you feel that way, as do I. This is using AI at work, but you can also, wherever you listen to your podcast, you can type using AI at work into the search and get access to the podcast there and subscribe and get notifications of new episodes. So definitely make sure that you check that out. I want to dive into our event schedule. So as I mentioned, we're taking a survey, topics, times, all of that may be shifting in the coming months. Today, right now, we're in the AI productivity class. Tomorrow, we'll have prompting essentials. Segovia normally leads this class on Tuesday, but he is under the weather this week, so I will be taking over. It will not be the usual class structure, but we will be diving into Prompt Vault. So if you haven't used Prompt Vault before or you have questions about it, you can come to that class. We'll do a tour. And also, if you have any, troubleshooting issues of logging in or getting your credits, I can assist with you that as well. This class is a workshop that's being led by Jeff Woods. So everyone here is a huge Jeff Woods fan. He wrote the book AI Driven Leader. And he is hosting a workshop that this is not something that we're putting on. This is something he's putting on that we're supporting in the promotion of. So if you want to check that out, it's taking place on Tuesday. So you still have a little bit of time to register, but that is listed under events if you want to learn more. On Wednesday this week, you have the AI Business Blueprint, AI Consulting Business Blueprint with Wayne Clayton. This is the fourth and final week of his February series where he's going into StoryBrand book. And he's going, so it's like if you are out there building your website, you're marketing yourself to clients, but you don't have any of your branding or your messaging or knowing how to position yourself in the marketplace, this is week 4 of his series that he's gone through. In just a moment, I'll show you the class announcement that I made of this week's schedule. And in it, I linked the previous talks that he did. So if you want to catch yourself up on the full series, you can do that here inside of the community. But I definitely recommend attending Wayne's class. It's really good at kind of grounding some of we explore tools, we learn new skills in the world of AI, and he brings it down to the ground so that we can apply it to our business, apply it to our clients, and take tangible, actionable steps towards our goals and ultimately making money with the skills and knowledge that we have. So previously, we have had AI workflows on Thursday nights. That is going to be changing. So this week, Chris Daigle is going to be leading the Thursday class, and we're moving it to an earlier time. So it will be at 5 p.m. Eastern, and he's going to be talking about AI agents, which that is a very popular topic in the AI world right now. So if you need to wrap your head around that, or you have a bunch of questions, or you want to learn more, and also if you want to be in the presence of Chris Daigle, I would attend that class. He hasn't been teaching a lot of classes lately. The last couple of weeks, he hasn't been leading the challenge. So if you want to be in his presence, if you want to ask him questions and get in his brain, that's the perfect place to be. And Steve, I see your hand. What is your question?
You know if the Jeff Woods event will be recorded or not? Because I have like four clients. I have
Yeah.
four. So you don't maybe doing a lot of rescheduling, or maybe I can see it after.
Well, it is a paid for event. So my assumption is that it would be recorded. I
Okay.
don't
So
think
Megan,
yes.
Megan, this
Uh-huh.
is Kim. Since I've taken his event, you do get the recording and you do get one takeaway from the event. So you will get a takeaway if you pay the $2,500.
Awesome.
Thanks, Kim.
You're welcome, Steve.
All righty. Friday, we have our CAIO live class. Coach Jen is going to be on that call, and she has a special announcement to make. So if you can plan on being there Friday, I would plan on attending Friday. It will be worth your time. And that's what we have going on this week. Coming up in March, our AI governance class is going to be moving to Thursday. So in March, we're going to alternate between AI agents with Chris Daigle and AI governance and ethics with Kristen Purdue. And we are keeping that Thursday time slot at 5 p.m. Eastern. So it used to be a much later class. We're moving it earlier in the day. And it is updated here in the event calendar. So feel free to look here for March's events and you can check that out.
Megan, will we have to re-register for the ones that are changing times?
Um, so the AI agents class is using the workflow Zoom link, so you should be good there. And then the AI governance class is still using the AI governance link. So I didn't create any new events, I just modified the ones that existed. So if you had already RSVP'd, you should still get the same updates for when you registered originally.
Okay, thank you.
Now, coming in April, it may be different, but for March, you should be good to go. This was our update. If you need a recap of what I just went over in our class schedule, you can go to the announcements section. This is just a summary of what's happening this week. And these are links to RSVP, so you can get notifications and event reminders if you RSVP. And then right here on Wednesday, the AI Consulting Business Blueprint with Wayne. This is where I linked his recordings for week 1, 2, and 3. So if you want to go back and watch those, they are available to you, as are all of our class recordings. Over on the left-hand side, underneath AI Insiders, if you click VIP Video Vault, you can find all of the recordings to every one of our classes, along with a fabulous summary and bullet point notes of what goes on in that class and timestamps. So if you want to fast forward to something, you can. So everything is here and available for you. Do we have any questions before I hand it over to Zach? Tina, I'm glad you like the podcast. That's awesome. And Kim, I'm glad that you're looking forward to seeing Chris live. You're not the only person. People are often like, where's Chris and how can I connect with him?
Oh, he's not
Attend
all
Thursday.
that. Stop it. He's just Chris. That's the best part about him. He's just Chris. No, he's good.
It's nice
I'm
to
making
be
light.
nicer.
I'm making light fun of it, but no, he's good.
Yes. Okay. Zach, the floor is yours.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Megan. And thank you to everybody for attending today's session. Hopefully, there's going to be some key unlocks for you with some of these new tools that we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to try and share my screen just so I can go over a quick agenda for everybody and then dive right into the subject material. Now, thankfully, it's going to be pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We're only going to be focusing on 3 steps today, but we're going to get things started off with the smart cut. When it comes to today's lesson, I created a little document that I believe Megan is going to kindly share with you all as well. What's cool about this document is it not only tells you the steps that we're covering today, provides you some visuals, but it's also going to give you some of the steps that we actually do in today's training. So you're going to get a chance to copy the prompts that I've created and use those for generating your own ideas. I've put together a simple one that's pretty straightforward for building in the Bolt platform. I also went ahead and created a little bit more advanced one. If you really want to get crazy with things, it's Monday morning. I don't know if everybody's ready for that level yet, but it's okay because this will be recorded and you can catch up with us later if need be. I do see that we got 36 people on the call today, so I'm super excited for some engagement as we go along here because we are going to need to come up with some ideas on the fly. And then lastly, throughout the conversation today, if we do run into any questions, I think everybody knows how to use the raise your hand method. So feel free to chime in. I'll be trying to keep an eye on the chat as well, so that if I know a lot of times I'm the type of person that I can listen in on the call, but it's hard to participate in any way other than text. So feel free to chime in via text as well, and we'll do our best to keep up with everybody as we go along here. All right, so we're going to do a quick poll first. I'm kind of curious if you could just in the chat leave a little thumbs up or a yes or a no. I'm curious who is familiar with the platform Bolt.new and who has heard of this platform as of yet in the group. All right, we got Tina and Karen are not familiar. Sherry's somewhat. I see a lot of no's coming through here, so this is good because we're going to get to cover a lot of ground and hopefully blow some minds here today. Awesome. Vitu, no, not familiar. Some people have heard of it, but they haven't had a chance to play around with it. And the other thing that's really cool about Bolt is you're going to get to know it. You know, if you are familiar with ChatGPT and you've been playing around with ChatGPT, Bolt works in a very similar fashion, and so you'll get a chance to have a conversation with the landing page and app that you're building, which I think makes it really user friendly for those of you familiar with ChatGPT. So I'll bring up the Smart Cut first here because I know there's a lot of super useful information in this document. If you haven't downloaded it yet, check it out and put it on your to read list, because essentially what it does is it walks you through what Bolt does and why it's an amazing tool, and how you can start thinking about ways to use it for maximizing your business visibility. I'm actually going to skip through most of the Smart Cut because we're going to cover a lot of this stuff with my demonstration, but feel free to read through all the different elements in the Smart Cut. It's super helpful. What I really wanted to point out was the FAQ. So I think these are key elements for everybody that's just getting started. So up first, what is it? Bolt.new is a development platform designed for streamlining the creation of not just full stack websites, but also apps. They've implemented a new feature that lets you build apps now too, which is pretty cool. Do you need to know how to code with Bolt? Absolutely not. Although it can be helpful to have a little bit of a cursory understanding of coding. Being able to code is not a prerequisite. And so I think that is another amazing feature here. Can I customize the website design? Yes, absolutely. Bolt accelerates excels at creating amazing websites that are dynamic. You can really get fine-tuned with things depending on how specific you want to get, and I think that that's super helpful. Last couple questions. What kinds of websites can I build? Bolt is pretty diverse. It can do, e-commerce sites. It could do portfolios to showcase your work. It could do blogs. It could also do, anything tailored to your specific needs, kind of depending on your constraints. And is Bolt free to use? Yes, they do have a free version where you can get a certain amount of prompts per day, which I limped along with when I was first learning how to use Bolt. But then they do offer paid plans as well. And the magic $20 a month is kind of the starter area there. So I think that hopefully my feed's still coming through. I know my video cut out here. But yeah, so when it comes to Bolt.new, I think answering these questions for yourself is a great way to get started. All right, so now the next question for the chat is, are we ready to try and build something with Bolt? Give me a thumbs up or a yes if you're ready to take the next step with me here. There we go. All right, we've got some explorers. Okay, so the idea that I'm going to share with the group today is this idea of what everybody who's been through at least a portion of the CAIO program knows is that stacking tools can be very powerful. So we're going to start off by using our good old trusty ChatGPT to create a targeted web app idea. So the idea here is that we want to figure out what's the best way that we can get attention to our company website. So, for Steve Furman, that might be the 4-pillar coach. For other members of the group, you might be trying to drive awareness for one of your clients. It all kind of depends on how you want to get strategic with what you're trying to accomplish. So the first portion in this document that was shared is step one, how to generate web app ideas. And I created this little prompt that talks about how to brainstorm 10 creative, actionable ideas tailored to the following parameters. So the only thing that you really need to fill out in this prompt is what's your business niche and what's your target market. If you can input that information, you can get started with generating some ideas. So if there's anybody brave enough in the chat that wants to share what is your business niche and what is your target market, I'm happy to tackle the first one or two seemingly good ideas, at least. We'll see what comes through the feed here in a moment. And while that comes through, I'm going to just copy paste this prompt into ChatGPT. And the reason I'm kind of doing this on the fly, I did go through all these steps, and I have some prepared models in case things crash, because we all know the internet can be fun sometimes. But I'm going to try and do this live too, because I think it's more fun to explore like as we go. So here I've pasted in the prompt, and let's see, we've got Chris Dovey coming through with AI strategy, target market small businesses. We've got Tina Scott coming through with AI consultant niche for nonprofits and churches. Okay. Anybody else want to chime in? All right, so we're going to try AI consult. I'm just going to go with the first one because Tina was first. So we're going to say business niche is non-profits. And the target market is, who are the target market customers in a nonprofit? The owners, executives, I see churches on the
Owners
list
with
here.
lots of money.
Board of directors, she said.
There we go. Yeah. Board of directors. All right. And we'll hit enter. We'll see what ChatGPT comes up with for this prompt. Now, the one that I came up with while this loads was to create a YouTube channel analytics application. Basically, what this does is it allows you to scrape a YouTube page, plug in the data to your YouTube analyzer, and it'll give you a whole bunch of information about what are the key topics that are being discussed on that YouTube page and how could you leverage that for information. So I'll show that if any of this doesn't come through, but it looks like we finalized the prompt here, and we've got a whole slew of ideas for targeting nonprofits board of directors. So let's see if any of these resonate with the group here. We've got a board sync AI-powered governance program, a SaaS platform that'll streamline board governance, meeting management, and strategic decision-making. That sounds a little intense. A data visualization tool to track and measure reports, also intense. This is coming back with some heavy stuff. A platform that matches nonprofits with the diverse quality board candidates. That maybe sounds a little bit more doable. And so you can see how it's coming up with a lot of different ideas. And as you read through these things, you can really pick up on what resonates with you, where do your strengths lie, and how do you start capitalizing on these ideas. So some of these are pretty intense, though, to try and do in a 30-minute call. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that we went down the path of creating this YouTube channel application idea. And so this was the output from when I did this experiment using ChatGPT. So I'm going to grab this example here, and I'm going to head over to bolt.new. And I'm going to just paste this in. This is the bolt.new platform. If anybody's, like I said, familiar with ChatGPT, this is pretty easy to utilize. You can literally take what ChatGPT gave you because that prompt is made for creating a bolt.new entry. So once you get that output, you come over to step 2 and you copy this prompt and paste it into Bolt. The key thing to remember, I think, about Bolt is whenever you're building things, there's 3 elements to have a successful landing page or website: the front end, the back end, and the database. So this might be going a little bit over from a technical perspective, but I'll just share at a high level why this is important. The front end is what the user sees, right? This is how you interact with the website. The back end is any type of information that this website needs to draw on. And the database is all the stuff that might be relevant for interacting with the platform. So in our example, the front end is going to be this really nice user interface. I'll bring up an example of what that looks like here. So this is the front end, right, which everybody's pretty familiar with. The back end is going to be how this information is processed, and then the database is going to be where it's stored. So going back to keeping the ball rolling on actually using Bolt.new, we've gone to ChatGPT and asked it for some ideas. We have now moved into Bolt.new to try building that idea. So we're going to create this YouTube channel analytics application. Once you hit enter, it'll start doing its thing. It's going to start, you can see it actually coding on the fly. It's doing all the heavy lifting for you so that you don't have to, which I think is absolutely amazing. Depending on how specific you want to get, you can start generating not just ideas, but you can actually have a dialogue with Bolt as you start refining and honing in on what your final product is going to look like. There's times where you're going to run into technical issues, you're going to run into technical problems, and that's totally fine. I was working on a project for a client a couple weeks ago and having trouble with the domain names. But thankfully, ChatGPT and Perplexity helped me out. So again, going back to this idea that you can stack these ideas, you can use AI to help you work through the technical issues that you might run into as well. So, all right. Bolt looks like it finished up what it was doing here. And now you can see a preview on the right-hand side of the screen, the first output and the first pass at what we're trying to accomplish. Now this example hasn't been refined just yet. And so I'm going to try and use this tool the way it's intended. So the idea is that you can go to a YouTube page and literally just scrape the information off that page and paste it in here, and it'll give you some results around what is that YouTube page talking about, how many views are those subjects getting, and how do you start tailoring maybe your own message to that vertical. So I'm going to see if I can get, let's see, who's a well-known AI thought leader here. Let's talk about Greg Eisenberg and his channel. He's got some pretty cool ideas. And actually, the idea that I had for this training session came from his page. So what you're going to want to do for this YouTube scanner, and I'll make this available to the group as well if you want to try it out, but you're going to go to videos and you're going to go to popular. And now all of Greg's popular videos, and you see he's getting hundreds of thousands of views here, are up and you can review them. We're just going to literally copy paste directly from the YouTube channel here and put this into the app that we just made and see what comes up. Oh, see, now it gave me an error. Please make sure you're using the right format. I'm going to just ask Bolt for help on this. I'm running into an error. Here's the data I'm using. Please reformat. All right, so now, again, I have a pre-built version of this that we can go to just to show how things might look once everything's up and running. But the reason I want to actually do this live is because you are going to run into technical issues like this. You're going to run into problems where things just aren't working on the first pass, and that's okay. Bolt is literally going to walk you through how to troubleshoot and solve those issues. So it looks like it reformatted the videos into the style that we need in this area here. So I'm going to copy paste all this and put it in. And there we go. So it that was almost instant, which is pretty cool. So it created a list of topics from the videos that we uploaded. It created some key insights around those videos, and it created some recommendations for how I could adjust my content strategy to match Greg Eisenberg's and start ramping up viewership and engagement. Now, one thing that I'm noticing here is that it gave me an output that's not very specific. It said others and tutorial. So I'm going to talk to Bolt again here, and I'm just going to say, it looks like that was pretty general. Can you refine the topics? Be more specific.
Wow.
All right. So now I've asked it to say, hey, these topics are too general. I need to better understand what's making Greg Eisenberg so popular on YouTube. I need to dig into the core topics that he's talking about so I can really try to reframe my approach in my content. So now Bolt's going to come back. It's going to think about how can I create some rules and how can I figure out what Zach is actually asking me, and then how can I code that into the platform so that it does it automatically. So now it's come back. It says it's done its job. So we're going to take all that data that we copied before. We're going to paste it in. We're going to see. Hopefully, it'll give us some new topics that it highlights here in the. Oh, look at that! All right. So now you can see Greg is talking about AI development tools. He's talking about startup ideas. He's talking about other tech content. That's still a little general, but I'll let it fly for now. And then he's got business applications, and you can see a breakdown of, he's got 1.3 million views in regards to AI development tools. So it's probably a good idea for him to continue talking about AI development tools because that's driving a lot of traffic to his site. And even down here in the key insights, you can see AI development tools content performs 114% above channel average. Best performing video, top 3 topics, right? So there's a lot of I guess this app in and of itself might be useful to some of you. So like I said, I'll make it public, and you can go out and just literally go to any YouTube page that you're learning about. You can scrape the entire YouTube page with a copy paste function and instantly get an analysis of what are the top topics for that page, what are the key insights that that person is talking about, and what recommendations do I need to consider for improving my strategy. Okay, so now this thing that we just created essentially like a YouTube analyzer. This might be a relevant tool for influencers to utilize so that they can hone in on their messaging and how they want to tweak their channel. So I want to launch this tool and I want to start sharing this tool with my audiences. If my niche is YouTube influencers and my target market is people in the AI space, what I can do is I can go up to this button here that says deploy. Give me a thumbs up if anybody is interested in actually deploying what we just created into the real world. Sherry says yes. So Sherry's still awake. All right. Okay. So nobody fell asleep during my technical walkthrough there. People are still paying attention. That's good. All right. So I'm gonna deploy this app, even though it could probably use some refinement. And what that's going to do when we hit deploy is that's going to push the app to this other website called Netlify. What's cool about Netlify is not only can it act as your host for your website, but you can buy custom domains for as little as $14 a year through Netlify, and you can launch your website directly from this platform. And so uh, I went ahead and did that in advance so that I know we're probably going to try and save some time for Q&A here. So now I'm going to put this URL in the chat for everybody. You can pull up this website in the chat. Hopefully it shows up on your computer exactly the same as it does for me. I spent about an hour and a half trying to refine this on Friday last week so that it does work. And while we're sharing this information, I see Tina has a question here. So how do you deploy it to your own hosting? Okay, so Tina, if I'm not mistaken, but actually, Tina, do you want to hop on and just share your question verbally if you can, just so that we can really understand what you're trying to get at?
Yes, hi Zach. Thanks for your demo. So if I created this in Bolt and I wanted to host it on my own hosting, how would I be able to do that?
Yeah, so there's a couple options you have at your disposal. Option one is you can use just the plain Netlify link here and link to the site from your own website. You know, you can create a tab that says YouTube channel analyzer, and that'll route people over to this site. You could also ask Bolt, how do I incorporate this page into my own website? So if you're using a hosting service like Wix or Squarespace or something like that, Bolt can actually help you figure out how you can incorporate the app you just created onto your own like proprietary domain or channel.
Hey, Zach, you might want to ask for the embed code when you talk to Bolt.
Yep, exactly.
What's the embed code for my own website for this? And it'll tell you.
So if you
Yep,
have
and
a
then-
WordPress, if you have a WordPress website, could you embed it?
Yep.
You could embed this in your WordPress website if you want, or the easier way would just be to create a link on your WordPress website that routes you to this domain.
Yeah, but I want to keep traffic on my website.
Right.
Because
That's
that's
why you want to
Fair enough.
embed it. That's why you'd like to embed it so it doesn't
Yeah.
website.
Okay, well, just to play devil's advocate, Tina, one thing that linking to this could do potentially is, in addition to your own website having traffic, you could search engine optimize this site as well. And now with those cross links, you're creating, in Google's mind, you're creating a stronger connection between
Exactly.
multiple pages, and you're going to actually push yourself up to being found in areas that your standard domain isn't being found in. So if you're really wanting to capture people interested in YouTube channel analyzers, this page is going to be optimized for that audience, and it's going to link back to your core page as well. So just food for thought.
Good point.
One of the ways you can create like a network effect, basically.
It's a backlink.
Exactly.
Yeah,
All right.
cool. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So now this page is live. If anybody in the chat was able to pull it up, I'm curious, were you able to actually get it to work? And I can do an example here as well if that's helpful.
Mine came up. I also created a law intake form while you were doing your demo.
Oh, you did?
And it works too.
Okay, look at that. So literally in the time it took us to build this live, I think that was like maybe 10, 15 minutes. Steve has already built an app himself using Bolt, and now he's got a functioning tool that he can use for his customers. Am I right?
Yeah, I got to rename it. I renamed it Furman Law from the name. It came up with some bogus name. I just got to give it a new name, but it basically just captures some personal information and sends it off. And
Awesome. So
ask them what they're interested in. It's pretty cool.
yep. Perfect. Okay, so that's the whole point of the Chief AI Officer program, is that these tools are incredibly powerful, and with a little bit of practice and a little bit of time, you can literally hit the ground running with a product almost in a matter of minutes. But then you can also refine things and really hone it in so that it looks and feels the way you want to. So for example, I spent a little time refining this so that we can make sure we get better topic summaries. We can make sure that we get relevant summary information and comparative insights. So again, I'm going to be sharing the link to this tool for those that want to use it. as a recap. But going back to the document that we started with at the beginning of the training, we essentially got a chance to go through the bulk.
Offering training and certification.
Sorry.
I got somebody chiming in
That
here. All right,
was my fault. I'm trying
Yeah, no
to
worries.
scrape data to put in your YouTube channel analyzer.
Okay, got it.
Chris David showed up.
So we went to generate target web app ideas. We used ChatGPT to actually come up with some ideas. I didn't get a chance to deploy the idea that Tina came up with, so maybe we can spend some more time on that after the fact. We then went to bolt.new and actually built out a web app in a matter of minutes, and even some of the people on the call built out a web app for their own business during the time it took us to do this. And now we're going to move to this last step, which is strategic promotion. So like I said, you can purchase custom domains through Netlify, and that'll allow you to, pretty up this website domain. So it's not admirable genie. It could be, Tina's YouTube analyzer or something like that. You can also then link your app across your existing company pages and social media sites. So this gives you something to talk about. This gives you a chance to create content around, hey, and I would encourage everybody to do this, to say like, hey, I'm building this app, and tell people what you're building and how you're building it. And then say, hey, I built this app, try it out. Let me know what you think. And then, continue to drive content so that people understand you're not just talking about AI tools, you're actually rolling them out in real time. And then lastly, you can take things even further from there. So you can create like a marketing campaign to really drive awareness of not just your website, but the tool that you created and why that might be useful for your target market, right? So if your target market is YouTube influencers, we now have a tool that they could use in real life that would actually benefit them. And it happens to be hosted on our page. So with that being said, I know I want to leave some time for questions and things like that. I'd love to open it up to group. If you are the type of person that can listen and text, please enter your questions in the chat. If you want to chime in, feel free to raise a hand and we'll work through the folks that have questions.
I just want to say, like, wow, well done.
Thanks, Steve. All right, so Gerald Welsh came in with a question. He said, what tools can we use to validate the data that we scrape is actually actionable? What if it was just bogus clicks and not trying to be negative, but what other sources can we use to validate these results? So Gerald, were you able to validate some of the results that we saw here? I think your question is getting at, we pumped in a bunch of video information in this example and it spit this information out. Your question saying, is this actually valid? Like, does Greg Eisenberg actually talk about AI development tools on his channel?
Well, no, I don't think that's it. And this
No?
may be a little bit, it's probably a bad question. It's probably a little bit too into the weeds, but it's easy to scrape data and come up with a nice, columns and rows with clicks and topics. But I'd like to have some other sources that validate that this guy is a trusted source and something that's really actionable. But again, I think that's a little bit too much in the weeds. I think you could use the same tool here and be able to do things like that. I was just typing out loud. Probably not.
No, that's great, Gerald. So you're getting at a key point, which is, we created this. I'm going to refresh the page here so that it comes back to the core entry. But we created a page that's literally one input, right? What you're talking about now is how can we maybe create a multi-input page so that we're doing a YouTube video scrape off of their site, but then maybe we go to their website and we get some other information about what they're talking about and we load that into this as well as another input, right?
Exactly.
So
maybe depending on the topic, I can go to academic papers. I can use multiple sources from multiple venues.
Totally. All right. Okay. Gerald's good with that. Curtis Gilbert had a question. How do we explore a topic first? Curtis, you want to chime in and let us know what your question is revolving around in terms of exploring topics? Are you talking about with ChatGPT there, I'm assuming?
It's maybe kind of trying to tie into what you did here. I kind of missed a step in how you got your prop for Bolt, but we can come back to that. I
Okay.
didn't see
Yep.
how that happened.
Got it. Yep. So first thing we did was we went to the document and we grabbed step 2 prompt to generate the ideas.
Okay.
Once the ideas are generated in ChatGPT, then you come back to the document and you grab sorry, step 1 prompt is generating the ideas. Step 2 prompt is building the actual idea. So that's this prompt here. And what this will do is this will take all the input information that you had from your first prompt and gives you spots to drop it in right. I'll highlight it in yellow so you can kind of see.
So I got the
Right
feeling
here.
you were like narrowing down to one specific of the whole number you got. I thought you were saying, oh, I don't want to go with all of them. I want to just pick something.
Yeah.
But
Yep. So here's
so you
the
picked one. You did pick one then.
we picked one idea. Yep.
Okay. That was it. That's what I missed.
Yeah. The ideas that came back initially were a little bit complex. So I would have gone back and forth with ChatGPT and said, hey, can you make it simple? I'm trying to just, create a
Yeah, I'm with
website
you.
for this. Yeah.
No, perfect. So what you did is you got the chat, you got your feedback, you had your 10 choices, you narrowed down to one, you threw it over to based on what you had
Yep.
into Bolt, and then you made sure these fields or areas were filled in, and then it went from that point
Yep.
to
So let
create
me
what.
just
Okay.
try one. Let's just try
Okay.
one and see what happens and
Okay. Thank
go
you.
from there. And then Ricky said, awesome presentation. Thank you, Ricky. Carrie said, super cool. Thank you, Carrie. Chris said, this is really simple. And you couldn't have said it better, Chris. Like, that's the cool part of all of this is the use here is tremendously powerful. Like the use case for what you could do with Bolt, there's tons of opportunities. We're just scratching the surface with landing pages. Think about the types of custom apps you could make for your customers, for example, that would literally be tailored specifically to that customer, not just like a general, hospitality industry or nonprofit industry type app. This is a specific use case for that customer. And then Sherry came in and said perplexity research would come in useful. Absolutely, Sherry. You can do tons of research for how you could improve the functionality of Bolt.new. It looks like this board bench web app idea came out in actual code. So again, you could take this information and paste that into Bolt.new, and that'll literally get you started. I'm going to ask it to answer in chat instead so that I can actually understand because I don't read code. And I think that's the other cool part about all this is I've been in talent acquisition and recruiting for most of my career. And now I'm literally creating like custom web apps that my customers can use. And I'm connecting them, which, is almost unheard of, that somebody can go from zero technical understanding to building custom apps for their customers. But that's the power of AI, and that's why I think getting your chief AI officer certification is such a powerful thing for you to do for your career, for your business, whatever it may be. So last piece here, let's just see. Okay, so this is the full text output, Curtis, of one of the ideas that it came up with, going back to
Yeah.
our initial discussion. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go back to Bolt and I'm going to see if I can build this thing. And I'm just going to totally wing it here. So this might be terrible. This might be cool. We'll see. All right. So Bolt saying, I'm going to help you build Board Bench, a web application starting with a landing page and create a modern professional design using Tailwind and CSS. So we'll see what this happens. Is there any other questions? Any other things that I didn't touch on yet?
I do. I have a Zach. So you're
Don.
you're not even putting the code in there. You're putting the text
The
description.
text. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
So Zach,
Yes.
That's it. Wow, that's great. So really quick, I had a question further down. I think, well, we got a little bit of time, but just the question's got to come down to back to your YouTube, and maybe we can look at that as we finish this. I don't want to jump around. So
Yeah.
this was the web page you created. Wow.
Yep. So it's not really functional just yet, but it's got the initial landing page, and then somebody who's got experience in the nonprofit area could probably take this even a little bit further. Um, what what I'm noticing first is that the hyperlinks aren't working. So what I would do is I would just go back to Bolt and I would say, hey, looks like the CTAs and links aren't working. Can you make them work?
One thing I wanted to kind of, it's maybe another topic, but I've literally been working with ChatGPT for about the last 17 literal calendar days, back and forth with a
Mhm.
whole bunch of different series of questions. And what's been kind of interesting, as we're all going through this, we're trying to figure out, obviously, our toolkit. I mean, in the end, that's a big part of this process, the logic of what you're doing and
Yep.
then what tools you use. What I've been pretty blown away. Actually asked ChatGPT once. I said, "Hey, what's going on here? Is this the new norm?" And it said, "Hey, you're asking me to do some paraphrasing, pretty complex stuff." And so, yeah, I'm working on the workflow, the landing page, the scripts, and meaning, in short, I mean, literally 17 days we've been going back and forth. Like I have an employee, his name is Chat, and he showed up to work when I show up, and he's been working with me. But I think where I'm going with sharing this is just what I'm discovering is it's very seldom that I think any of us are going to just go in the keyboard, get what we want. It's an iterative, it's Q&A, it's back and forth, it's working with your partner. I mean, I'm even getting to the point where I'm thanking Chad for his great work. So I'm clearly losing my mind for the experience. Anyway, I think where I'm
No,
going with it is I'd love to be able to see how to shorten that timeline and be more actionable. Like, meaning what I've seen you do, you took the idea, you put it into something, and then it produced an outcome. And the outcome is actually it's an MVP. It's like you get to actually see it, and you might actually be able to get it working like Steve did. And I think that's something that I'm discovering is a lot harder. And maybe I'm not the
Hey,
smartest guy in the
Curtis,
room.
well, and this
there's
is this is something that
I was
sorry,
gonna
go ahead,
say,
Steve.
one real important thing about it. Like right now, I'm trying to get it to fix the email issue, but I'm not a programmer at all, nor do I want to be. You just got to talk to it. And if you get lost, go to Perplexity to ask a question. How do I do blah, blah, blah? Or, just think a little bit like it's thinking. You don't have to
Yeah.
be rocket science to use it. That's for sure. I'm not.
No,
Well, on that
no,
front,
Steve, that's brilliant, because what you're describing is like, what stops us all is when we get stopped. And then it's like, whatever. So
yep.
anyway,
On that
thank
front,
you.
go absolutely, Curtis. So if you run into any problems, like Steve said, go over to Perplexity and say, act as an IT expert in low code and no code programming. I
Mhm.
don't know how to code, so your answers should tell me how to do things in the simplest form in a step-by-step fashion. Right? And then that way, Perplexity is now giving you outputs that you can actually understand and then plug into Bolt to accomplish your goals. If you go back, if anybody is in the CAIO program, go check out my case study, my capstone project,
It's
because
good.
that's exactly what I ran into here. I kid you not, I was this close to giving up. I wanted a custom domain here for the app that I built, and I bought it on GoDaddy, and I was trying to sync it with Netlify, and I spent way too much time on it. It was probably 7 or 8 hours trying to figure it out. But I then had the idea of going to Perplexity. I told it my problem, and it helped walk me through the actual solution, and I was able to get the custom domain name all hooked up. The client was happy, I was happy, and I think that's the key element for everybody to remember here is that the harder you work at solving these problems yourself, the more you can then showcase to your clients like the value that you bring to them. Or if you're doing this internally for an organization, you can showcase that you're a problem solver, that you're able to maximize the use of the tools. So hopefully this information was helpful. I know we're coming up on time here. Were there any other questions that the group had or anything else that I could cover before we wrap up?
So,
I think we're good. Yep. Awesome. Megan, was there anything else that you wanted me to cover or anything else that I didn't touch on yet today that
No,
maybe
you
I
did
forgot?
an excellent job. As I suspected you would. And I did, I'll drop it one more time, but here's a link in the chat to Zach's capstone project if you want to check that out inside of the Circle community.
I recommend it. It's awesome.
Agreed.
I
Agreed.
got to
The other
share
thing,
one quick
the
thing
other
with you,
thing,
Zach. Go ahead. Sorry.
okay, so the one other thing that I was just going to share with the group real quick, if that's okay. So on Wednesday, Wayne is going to be talking about using the Story brand framework for rebranding your website. Now, if you really want to get extra credit in the Chief AI Officer program, this is my website that I've been retooling according to Wayne's methodology. But you could take all of the Story brand information and put that into ChatGPT and come up with some website copy, and then you could take that and go over to Bolt and build your new website literally in a matter of minutes. I went ahead and built my website through Wix, which was a little bit more tedious, but it's a little bit more high definition. But you could easily do something very similar to this with Bolt.new. You could even implement API calls, and I don't know if anybody here has developed like a virtual assistant with 11 labs yet, but you can the possibilities here for tying all of this stuff together are like limitless. And so whether you're doing it for yourself in your business, I think is a good first start so you can try it out. But then now that's something you can showcase to your clients and customers. That's something you can go out to the marketplace and say, hey, you want a website with a chat agent and that speaks directly to your clients and their problems? I can build that for you in about 3 weeks. It's going to cost you a fraction of what it would if you were to go to an IT like managed service provider. And it's something that you're going to be able to hit the ground running with and manage yourself rather than relying on a company who's holding all the technical keys, right? That those days are gone. Now everybody gets to keep their own slice of the pie, which I think is pretty cool.
Hey, Zach, were you able to get a calendar to work with the 11 Labs agent by any chance?
Yeah.
Well, good. You and I got
Yes.
to talk because that's kind of where I'm stuck. Get my
Yeah,
level.
maybe that's a future a training session here. I went out and built this virtual assistant with 11 labs that schedules all of my calls and handles all my client requests so that I don't have to. She'll tell you about my company. I say she, I don't know if it's she or it or whatever, but yep.
I've got it too. I'm just stuck on the actual connection to my Calendly, so I'll reach out to you. Thank you.
Yep. Oh, yeah. The quick answer is don't use Calendly. Use cal.com instead.
There it is. Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome.
Again, I spent way too much time on that problem. But yeah.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your time today, Zach. That was fabulous. And thank you all for attending our Monday tools class. We have a new demonstration like this every week. I know there's a lot of new people here who have joined us from the challenge. So you can visit chiefaiofficer.com/learn-more and mute yourself if you're not sharing. If you want to join our community for 14 days for $1. We would love to have you there. That unlocks access to all of our classes. Our Monday calls are open to the community. And just before we hop off, Daniel, I see that you have your hand raised. Was there something that you want to ask real quick? Hey there.
Okay, so you got two of me here for a moment. So I'm going to take this from a different place. I am been in IT for 2.5 decades. I'm a software engineer by nature. I'll build software, just put it that simple. I have left corporate America and I am in various other niches of industries across the board. But my foundation is always I build software. I'm an IT guy by nature, probably not your typical IT guy at that. So I like to completely be outside the box. So Zach, I love this, watching this, because I've got a marketing agency, I've got a payment integrity company, I'm a real estate investor inside the US and outside internationally through various countries. And I have a consulting company that I had undercover in my IT days that I'm rolling or rebranding as an AI consulting company. I'm on the tail end of doing that. That's just what I'm doing. That doesn't even talk about me in a partnership or collaboration or a founding member of other various companies and organizations with other members. And also some joint ventures that I'm engaged in with AI, real estate, just as well. And there's some other ideas I got going on. So all that said is because I know enough about coding to get myself in trouble. I'll just say that. And sometimes I need to go to my developers and my programmers to fix the crap I did. To say the least. So if I'm understanding, you're taking that you just generated, that idea, and you're creating a landing page or website, whatever it is that you're doing across the board. Because
Correct.
in my marketing agency, I can either revamp or build new websites for clients as well. So as part of a service under my agency. And I'm just blown away by the efficiency or the quickness that this is developed. Am I completely missing something that I'm just sitting back watching because I like to observe, and then I'm like, holy cow, what is going on here?
You blew his mind, Zach.
Welcome to our world.
And
Yeah, this is
and I'm an IT guy.
Yeah.
Software.
This is the stuff that literally, like, people are not ready for how easy it is. Like I said, I didn't know how to code. I made chatbots in the past that were like plug and play chatbots, but I've been doing that since 2017, but I have never written a line of code in my life. Other than some basic HTML like back in the day. So like, yeah, this is incredibly powerful stuff. The possibilities for what you can do, not just building things for your business, but for other businesses that haven't figured this out yet is huge, right? And when you start then layering in elements of like search engine optimization, and the interlinking of these different tools and resources, you can come up with some pretty wild stuff. So I did notice there was one quick question from Karen in the group that said, are you working from notes or more extensive? Are you providing those too? Karen, I believe at the beginning of the chat, Megan did share the document that I had shared with the group in the call. So if you didn't see that, yep, I created a document so you can literally copy paste my prompts that I made for this into your ChatGPT and Bolt instance.
I had the Smart Cut, but I didn't see the other one.
I just uploaded the document again.
Okay.
It's a PDF file. And then Daniel, that's the Smart Cut for Bolt.new. So at the very beginning of the call, that was the PDF that Zach went over. And that may be a good place for you to start to just get the basics of how to start with Bolt.new.
Okay.
It's good to save the chat too.
Engage. Let's just put it, I mean, there's various things out there, AI, let's just say AI bots, but AI agency tools and stuff like that. Does this do anything that compares or works alongside with that aspect of AI?
In terms of what? Like if you want an agent to handle work for you,
or is it just building the website and the content and what that looks like?
Yeah, so that's the other piece. That's like maybe Bolt 2.0. The question or the next training would be there's other elements that you can tie in with APIs, for example, that if you went and built like a smart agent that can review and scrape website information, you could fold that into, and the Smart Cut touches on that as well. you can fold that into your bolt.new conversation and tell it like, hey, I've scraped all this information on this site, go to this site and load that into this page, right? So like you can absolutely integrate whatever you're building on the Bolt platform with other applications as long as there's a way to securely connect them. And usually that's through like an API link. Yeah, for sure.
I don't say that's the easy part, but yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's this. Yeah.
Go ahead. You can finish. I just want to make sure we stay on time.
Yeah. No, this is great. So yeah, there's a database platform called Supabase that Bolt is like natively integrated with, and you can literally tell it like, hey, create a database for all my customers that come to my landing page and enter their information, and it'll build that database for you too on the back end. So when at the beginning of the call, when I talked about you got to have a good front end, you got to have a good back end, and you got to have a good data storage option. Bolt literally handles all three of those elements for you, and by the way that you're grabbing your chin, I can tell this is like blowing your mind.
Well, I think it's obvious that in March you're gonna have to come back and you're gonna have to do a 2.0 that builds on top of what you taught today.
Well,
Yes.
For me, technology is easy to transition to and from. I've spent 2.5 decades doing it, over 2.5 decades. But the last 15 strictly as a enterprise senior software engineer, the latter part of that. So none of the technology transitioning and using tools and evaluating them and you know what it's going to do. I was one of the main voices when we would need third-party vendors and to see if their tools are going to integrate correctly into our enterprise solutions.
Absolutely.
I just didn't build anything on the back end. I was part of the governance in the enterprise and had a voice in what we're doing and how we're doing it and who we're doing it with, and potentially a final say so as well. So I just like to just watch and observe just because of technology has vastly developed over the last little bit. Well, and AI just in the last under 2 years.
The other piece of the puzzle, Daniel, that I think is really important to call out. So you're watching, you're learning, which the 36 other people on the call were doing as well. My only ask would be, if you found value in this conversation today, the Chief AI Officer program is something we should all be sharing as a community. And I know Chris Daigle posted the live feed for this a little bit ago on his LinkedIn page. So if you found value in this, go reshare Chris's post, go reshare this video on your social channels, start driving that awareness, because what we're doing here is literally empowering people to use these tools that are way easier than anybody anticipated to launch their businesses, to launch their programs. So that would be really helpful for me too. If you want to, give a little kudos online, that never hurts either. So, but yeah, offline, I know we're coming up on time here, Megan. If anybody else has questions, I'm in the Chief AI Officer community on Circle, so you can message me directly if you have questions. And then I'm on LinkedIn as well, so feel free to connect if you haven't already.
Thank you, Zach. And Daniel, we do have to wrap up here, and I can feel your brain continuing to expand. But please do join the community. We have classes every day of the week. You will learn something new in every single class. And the community is very supportive and encouraging as you develop your AI skills. But we're happy to have you here today.
All right, I appreciate that.
Yeah, you guys have a good day. Thank you for being here.
Yay!
Thanks, everybody.
We'll see you throughout the week. Bye.
Awesome.
Thanks, Zach.